Welcome back, folks, to the old Straight-n-Strop. It's Christmas evening. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful holiday. And Santa brought you all kinds of great goodies. I hope everybody got shaving goodies. A couple of my buddies sent me pictures today of razors that their wife and kids got them, and I was so happy for them. And then one asked me if my wife had gotten me any, and I lovingly said no, she would never buy me a razor because she claims I have enough. LOL. I did get one super awesome shaving gift, and that came from a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, Simple Jack Leatherworks. Find him on Instagram, and it is I've got plenty of rolls, cases, everything, like most razor guys got, but this bad boy here, it's a 10-piece, plus a wider spot that I could easily put, what's going to go in there is probably an Escher, just something to tighten up. I'm going on vacation in May, and I can't wait to use this. Thank you so much, Sergeant. Keep it moving, brother. Okay, back to this Weight and Butcher. The last video, I had removed the original colors, and hang on, let me turn it down. Shout out to Sean Staplefield. I'm watching his latest honing video. He does a great job. He does a great job. I'm currently working on trying to do better with editing and create a more inviting video instead of just straight to it, like a couple of kids in the backyard with mom's camcorder. Anyways, here we go. We got the colors. I did get these cleaned off. One thing I do want to stress on that is, if you do a project like this, clean off the underside of it. All right, those are usually pretty nasty. And if you know anything about corrosion, it travels. It travels. You leave any amount, it's going to get somewhere. So I haven't tapped the pivot hole, which I probably wouldn't have to, but I'm a stickler for it, man. It helps so much. It won't take much, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am guilty of not always showing everything that I do, for sure. I know a lot of guys make honing videos. I know a lot of guys make shaving videos. Well, I've made some honing videos, and I know I'll make some in the future. Probably never going to make a shaving video. Nothing against anybody that does. I'm just not, it's not really my style. So I'm going to use a DMT rotary tip. I believe that's what it is. There's probably a better technical term for it, man. I just know that it grinds steel pretty well. That one has a bevel tip. It allows me to get in there. What I'm shooting for is the final, which will be this barrel type here. That I probably, oh, gonna cut myself a little bit there. If that can fit in there, then it will most definitely fit my my capillary tube that I'll be putting in there. It fits fine. This is also a process that I have a really small barrel. I have a smaller barrel type here that I use quite often, and it is, I can't find it right now, there it is. This guy here. So that is about the size of all pivots, and if you can get one of these, basically you can't beat cleaning out the pivot hole with one of those. It does a really good job. I mean, you're removing the steel, so that definitely works. After that, I can use one of these brushes. Even if I wanted to just use one of these to clean it out, it'll help. But if you're doing any kind of a restoration or a breakdown, do not forget to clean out that pivot hole. That's something that I am guilty of. I'm not saying that anybody would forget that. I personally have many a times. And that may not make a big deal right off the jump, but down the road, it absolutely will. Okay, so that actually should be big enough. Yep, perfect. I don't know if I have any of those cut at the moment. Give me 1 second to get some things situated. So I don't know if I have. That one actually might be the ticket there. Yeah, see, basically just making it smaller. I think that one will actually work. It's made of brass instead of the nickel silver tube there, but it will work just fine. It will do the trick. The goal with these is, the biggest concern with them, don't make them wider than the tang. If it's wider than the tang, then of course your scales are never going to come together properly. When you put it in there, you need to make sure that it's not, you want it to be kind of loose, because if it's too tight and it gets in there and it's crooked, then it's going to throw your pinning off tremendously. So you want that piece of capillary tube can get in there and move around a little bit. You're not asking it to hold the blade's placement. You're just asking it to give a tighter hold to where you place the blade. And a good trick for that is these tiny little guys, these little tube cutters here. $5 on eBay, or wherever you want to buy it, but worth its weight in gold. An older fella I met in the beginning of my journey put me onto one of those tools. Furthermore, for holding the tubes, sometimes it can get hard to hold those tiny little capillary tubes. I have magnetic vise covers that have a rubber piece here. That was kind of chewed up. I used to peen my first end by squeezing it between these. I had tried so many different ways of getting that first pin end peened, until I started making my own anvil here with the, I know you guys have seen in the other videos, with the distance main, front, tail, pivot tail. So I'll be using that here right soon. Right now, I want to check how wide these colors are, because the biggest concern with these is going to be getting the head peened enough to widen out that, and that's pretty wide. So that's going to take quite a bit of peening. which will take time. I could smack the hell out of it and get it to spread out quicker. But what that's going to give me is what a lot of people would call, and I myself call, is a percussion bulge. And basically what that will be is, I think I've actually talked about them in other videos. You're pinning the top here, and yeah, you get your mushroom out here. But then what you end up getting is right below the mushroom, you get a bulge. And it's from the hard hitting. Yeah, it's peening out, but you create that bulge, and what happens with that is, and I may have, forgive me if I'm repeating stuff I've had in other videos, repetition is what gets it done, I guess. What will happen is you'll have, it'll get stuck there, and it won't quite set into it, and it may not matter on the first, to a lot of people, but it does. It makes a huge difference. What ends up happening is you won't be able to get that color to sit where you want it to, right on the edge, to get a clean peening. And you're going to have to end up nipping after you've set the second color. You're going to have to go back to the first side that you originally peened first, and you're going to have to nip the tip off of it, because that percussion bulge is keeping it from going all the way up to the peened area. So it's going to take some time, a lot of wax. As I said, it's Christmas night, so I'm sure my wife will love this. I actually might just edit that out for you guys. I'll probably get it. Yeah, that works. So I'm holding the anvil on my knee and pinning it. Makes it a whole lot quieter. And it allows me to spin the anvil around, because light reflection is going to look different from each side. So sometimes your peening might look uneven, but it's not really uneven. It's just the way the light is reflecting against the uneven surface. So I may have gotten that wide enough. Hopefully I didn't bend the pin, or do what I think I did, which was hammer the pin down into my anvil. I got it out. There we go. Okay, that should be wide enough. Notice some of them are wider. That one is real wide, so I'll start with it. Let's see if we can get... I'll clean that up once I get it built, because I know that that isn't going to look pretty on there. So I'll get my little file here. I don't know if the camera's picking up that mushroom top there. But it's just, trust me, it's not the prettiest. So I'll file it down to try to make it round as best I can without pulling all of it off. I've kind of questioned this series here of videos for this topic. Most people aren't going to mess with actually doing this, with saving the original colors. Everybody always just sends them out, throw them away, switch them out. You did a repinning. restoration, whatever you're doing to it. Now why use the old colors? I get it. Yeah, that's gonna look nice. Cleaned up the old wedge here. That's gonna look pretty. Make sure I get that in there right. I believe that's the right side. Not sure. Sorry for the dead noise there. Just concentrating. I think that's going to be all right. Okay, let's get another underwasher, choke collar, whatever you want to call it. Let's get that on there. Ooh. So to clean these colors here, stop real quick. I used a tool that I think anybody who does restoration or cleans up old blades, it's a conservator's pin. It's just fiberglass. You can buy them with all kinds of different tips. The fiberglass is probably one of the best things on the planet. And just to give a quick demonstration, if you've never seen one of these, let me find a blade that's in a little bit worse shape. Oh, here's a future restoration. It's kind of nasty, but see that there? These conservator pins. It's just fiberglass, safe for the steel. I'm sure a lot of you watching this have already been known, but I shouldn't have to say too much more. Proof is in the work. It's good for the bolsters here. And it leaves, you can call them scratch pins, whatever you want to call them. It will leave scratches. It needs to be buffed out, but man, it's such a huge difference. I like them because they can allow me to get around the pins really well. If you try to do that with sanding paper or cloth, whatever, film, whatever you're trying to use, good luck. But these conservator pins here really make short work of cleaning up on steel, and they're safe. They're safe for it. So I just used my tweezers here and the cork board. I swear by these cork pads. Got them from IKEA. They're hot pads. But just kind of pin it down there, and same way with having it over on the other side. Did the same thing. If I can get it turned over here. Sorry, I'm right-handed. Held it down, scratched away at it. Once I kind of got all the sides there, then I just held it and I spun it in there. But that's a big deal. That has to be cleaned up. Okay. Second pin here. Now we're going to see if we can pull this off. I'm going to have to kind of change a little bit of my methods. Normally, I would nip that off right down on top of that collar. But this time around, I'm not going to be able to. Now, I'm so against it. I see so many people talk about it. I get so many people asking me about it. If you should do this. And that's how high you go up. If that's how much pin you're going to leave above the top of that, by the time you pin that down on both sides, half the time you're going to cover the collar. Why even use the collar if you're going to have a peened head that's the size of a pea? You don't want to do that. Get right down there on that collar, man. If you're using good steel, it isn't going to take much. Or not good steel, good metal, good brass. You don't need a whole lot holding over the top of that collar. it ain't gonna matter. Sorry, I had to let dog out. Okay, so I guess I'll get this up here so you guys can see. Normally I would do this on top of my regular one. Oh, this is gonna be challenging. That's so much painting. Still so much more to go, but that'll hold it together. Another thing I will do when I am painting is once I get going and it's getting there, I'll actually hold. That's a wedge, so the scales are actually sitting closed together, you know, by that wedge. So I'll get it spread open with my fingers and I'll hold it and then finish off the painting, and that allows it to get you know, more of the shape it's supposed to have and it plans to have. Instead of pinning it into that, just hold it there, so that way your pin wants to pin to where it's actually going to be sitting. Yeah, it makes you have to hold everything in some pretty funny positions, but you know, it helps. Some of them it doesn't really matter, and some of them it's a must, or you end up putting way too much stress. Okay, once I get going so far, see, that's the natural. So get it spread open and then pin it down so everything kind of goes in the direction that you're planning it to go. As I'm going, I will actually hit off, make it a little bit lighter. On some of these rounded scales, most colors come flat. On the scales that have a curve, you don't want it flat sitting on top of it, and I'd rather not pin down so hard onto it that it makes the color conform. You might as well just roll your scale a little bit and go around the edge and lightly tap the color itself and form it to the scales before you're using the pressure of it being pinned to make that happen. Oh, that's perfect. All right. That's the tail. All right, I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to work on these colors back here a little bit and clean them up so they look a little better, so the peen isn't too wide. That one came out pretty well. The other one that I did first, I made it too big. I should have slimmed it down a bit, but I'll get it off right now. Thanks for watching, folks.